Hey, everybody. Detroit Love is running a little bit late, but guess what? You're watching another episode of the Super Game Room Dudes, your arcade and gaming podcast show. And tonight is a special event. We have an exclusive interview with Evercade and Blaze Entertainment right after this. All right, guys, let's get fired up. Let's take it away. We're off to the races. Welcome to another episode of the Super Game Room Dudes, your arcade and gaming podcast show. I'm your host, Patrick, as always. With me are my co-hosts, MichaelB The Game Genie and Restalgia. How are you guys? Detroit Love, our other co-host, he's running a little bit late, guys. So my apologies that I had to take his spot, man. Hopefully, I did him justice. Do me a favor, everybody in the live chat. Let's give a warm welcome and a big thank you to Andrew Byatt and Ryan from Blaze Entertainment. We're going to be talking this entire episode about the Evercade. We're going to talk about the history of the Evercade console, as well as the Evercade VS. And guess what, guys? If you stay tuned through the entire broadcast, I promise you, we're going to give some exclusive big reveals about what's coming soon with Evercade that you don't want to miss. I think it's going to melt your socks off. Andrew, Ryan, welcome to the show. How are you, gentlemen?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Wonderful, wonderful. Do you guys want to tell people what you guys do for Blaze? Some of our audience might not be familiar what your roles and responsibilities are over there.
So I'm the managing director, which is a bit of a British term, sort of CEO of Blaze. So I look after the show, really, make sure everything's happening. And Ryan, go on, you introduce yourself, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm the kind of project lead on the project. So anything with the development side of things or the technical side, and that falls under my remit. So
wonderful.
I'm a ones and zeros guy.
Yeah, you were telling me that before we went live. I was like, Ryan, what do you do there? He goes, I'm the ones and zeros guy. Which is pretty exciting. MichaelB The Game Genie happens to have an Evercade handheld console right in his hands. The handheld. Let's take a look at that bad boy. Guys, let me know in the live chat. Do you own an Evercade handheld console? You know PDubs has one. And guys, I'm trying to get all the carts. It's like Pokemon. I'm trying to collect them all. I've got 16 out of 20. I got 4 more to go. But it sounds like my wallet is going to be opened up for more Evercade products in the near future, especially with what Ryan, Andrew, and their teams have to discuss. Look at everyone in the chat saying they have one, they got one, they love it. Thanks so much for sharing, guys. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Travis says he doesn't want one, but we have to sell him on it. Okay, okay. Well, we'll see if we can rise to the challenge there. So first off, Andrew, can you do us a favor? Can you tell us, whenever we've interviewed a lot of arcade and gaming companies on our podcast, and what I always say, and people, they tease me, but I always say is let's go on a journey of discovery. So just for a couple of minutes while we get into the groove here, can you tell us the history of Blaze Entertainment and the Evercade handheld console? Let's take us back to the beginning where you guys began, and then we'll pivot over to the super exciting Evercade VS. Take it away, my friend.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that. Just to kind of potted history, I guess, of the company. So Blaze was actually a company that was making a load of product, distributing a load of product in Europe, kind of, I guess, up to in sort of 2000 to 2015. And that product that company was mainly a distribution company, a sales company. They did some kind of their own product and stuff, but that company went defunct at that point. And I kind of picked up Blaze around 2018, 2019, when we brought the company back. Essentially, we had the trademark, the Blaze trademarks. It's kind of a new company, completely new people from what was going on before. And when we got that started, we started doing some Atari kind of mini arcades and some handhelds and stuff. And I think when I joined the company, we were working on those. We started working on those products. But I think my aim was always to make something that was a bit less kind of one and done. So, and build something, because I think we're seeing so much product coming out, which was, it's a great product, but it's kind of like more about desk toys, or it's more about kind of a short-term kind of, entertainment. Whereas we wanted to build something that was a little bit more, had a bit more longevity. And so when we picked up the Evercade, we thought, as an idea, we thought, well, how can we deliver like an expanding range of product? Mm-hmm. So we thought the natural place to start really was a handheld. It was, I think at that point it was a kind of a nice feeling of having a cartridge, and a small cartridge that goes in the back of a console, and it felt like a handheld was the right thing to do. So we started up with the idea that if we can make a modular system of carts and then build on a hardware. But I think when we released the product, I think we all kind of held our breaths and didn't know whether a purely physical product would work in sort of 2020 when we got it out. And I think it worked incredibly well. And part of what you were saying about, people do say, well, why can't I get the carts? What's, there's shortages, or I can't get it here, I can't get it, which is the thing. But I think when we first released the product, I think we kind of thought, right, well, we're going to sell one console and we're going to sell maybe 3 or 4 carts per console as like an attach rate, which is kind of how you look at these things. But it's just been so much higher, so people just want to collect all the cartridges. So I think when we first released it, we hadn't ordered enough cartridges, so we had to kind of quickly fulfill, get more orders into the factory and produce that stuff. And it kind of sells through really quickly, and there is this kind of Pokemon collect them all type of thing going on. I think part of it is the price as well. They're not, extremely expensive.
No, not at all.
So I think people feel like, well, if they get them, one a month, it kind of, or 2 a month kind of thing, they're not spending the earth to get a load of content. I think that's come into it. But we worked really hard to try and get a real read on how many carts people need per console. I think that's really important. And then to build their collections up, and we're trying to kind of ramp up that volume in production. I'm not sure if people are aware of all the different models we've got, but there's I think 20. Is it 20, Ryan, that have all been announced now?
I think we're at 20 carts right now.
Yeah.
With, five on to be announced very soon.
Yeah, so we've got a load to be announced, which we can sort of talk about a little bit. But it's that kind of keeping. I think people also thought at the beginning, would this be like release a thing and then it will be done, and there'll be no further support. And I think we've kind of proven that there's lots of support and lots going on, and it's really hopefully interesting for people to keep adding to. We were when we launched the whole thing, we said, right, well, we need to have a good amount of content at the beginning. So we made sure there was 10 cartridges at launch to kind of show people that we could do it, and there'll be a load of stuff for them to get into and enjoy. But it's kind of grown on from there, and going all sorts of directions now. Interesting, you just showed the Indie Hero stuff. I think that was another learning in all this. When we started the project, we were like, right, well, we're going to go and sign Atari and Interplay and Namco Bandai and Bandai Namco and the Namco Museum, product, and we'll get those big names into this. And then we also looked at some other stuff. So we spoke to Megacat Studios about their games, which was kind of new indie product, which was built for new games for old systems, really. And actually, those casts have been really exciting for people as well. So just kind of to discover something new. So it's not just about the stuff people know. It's also about like hidden gems. That's a big part of what we're doing, and that people seem to really enjoy those carts.
Yeah. The carts are a lot of fun, and they're priced really, really well. You could find a lot of these on Amazon for what, about $20 a cart cartridge, which is a pretty good deal.
That's the kind of recommended retail price, $20.
Yeah. Yep. Now, Michael B, you did a fantastic review of the Evercade handheld console. It's been a few months, and you have a huge console gaming background. Like your channel was built on console gaming. What are your thoughts? What can you tell us about that Evercade handheld? Why don't you kind of give us a quick summary there and all that good stuff?
Well, what I liked about it was, there's a big community that's still pine for the days where you actually had cartridges that you can go pick up and play. And we're moving so far away from that. Even now, if you have a modern system and you pick up the disc version of the game, it's not really the game. It's really just a download disc. So the idea of having a physical game isn't really there anymore. So that's what piqued my interest so much about this, was all the games came in these cartridges. So collectors like myself, we've had times where we've had walls upon walls of games and shelves out there. These look perfect. They fit so well on any game shelf. They come in the little clamshell. It's all really well. Another thing I really liked about it as well is the games all play like they should play. They feel good. I was very nervous when I first saw this console, especially about the D-pad, because I had seen so many other D-pads with plates like this. And for controlling games, like especially retro games, your movements have to be so precise. I was very nervous about it, but the controls, everything works so well. I was very happy with it. And I'm going off track here now, but before I even ever got this and got in touch with the guys from Evercade and they sent this out for a review, I had so many friends that were retro collectors that reached out to me and they were like, you got to get the Evercade. You got to get the Evercade. And there's a huge like underground swell here in North America of people that are all in on the Evercade. Like they get every single game. They're completely addicted to it. And after experiencing it for a little while, I can certainly see why.
Beautiful. I think that was a pretty good summary. Ryan, do you think Michael B did a good job summing that up?
Yeah, no, absolutely. He did a better job than Steve did when he did his
Yeah, Steven's Evercade review was just terrible, wasn't it, Restalgia?
Oh, it's the worst.
Oh, we're just teasing you, buddy.
I'm sorry, guys. That's okay.
I
do my best.
Good.
All right, guys. Now, I noticed you guys have been asking questions in the live chat, guys. We've been taking them down. We're going to try and get your questions answered here throughout the broadcast. Now that we kind of talked about the history of the Evercade and as well as that awesome handheld, go ahead, Michael B.
I just wanted to throw one other thing I forgot to say in there. One of the other features that I thought was really, really cool and I was really excited about, which is going to lead into the conversation we're having here today, and I mentioned this in my review, is when I plugged it in and just played it on the TV using this as a controller, I was so impressed with how well that worked. Like, that was probably my favorite thing. I got this because I was like, I'm dying to have a new retro handheld, but I had just as much fun playing this on my TV, and it worked really well. So, sorry, I just wanted to throw that in there.
Well, it's actually it's quite funny you mentioned that. Actually, sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
I actually joined the company about a month after the handheld released, and I think one of the first things that Andrew was really proud about was that D-pad. So you've got a bit of a lovely relationship with the D-pad, don't you, Andrew?
that I remember sitting in the factory. And we had like so many variants of that and trying to get it right. It was too proud, or it was too, it didn't move quite right. And it took a long time to get that into a handheld, because my favorite D-pad was kind of Saturn or Mega Drive was kind of my favorite D-pad as a kid. So I think I took that into this product. And I don't know, there's so many kind of just cross D-pads that just didn't have the right movement, or they're just too, you don't get that engagement, whereas I felt like we'd kind of nailed it with that. So I was pretty pleased with that.
Very, very good. So, okay, guys. So here's what we're going to do. It's time for the main event. It's time to talk about what you all tuned in to watch, and that is the Evercade VS. Big news announced by Blaze. Now, before we get into it, let's kind of show you a little bit about what the Evercade VS is all about. Very cool. Guys in the live chat, let me know what you think of what you saw from that awesome hype trailer for the Evercade VS. I want your honest feedback in the live chat for these guys. Also, start asking your questions. Restalgia's been trying to keep track of them. We're going to try and get as many of your questions answered as we possibly can. Obviously, there might be some information that Andrew and Ryan can't release yet due to contracts, behind the scenes stuff, licensing, all that kind of stuff. But we do have a couple of big reveals we're going to give towards the end of the interview. You guys definitely don't want to miss those big reveals. So for starters, let's ask Andrew. Andrew, you guys had this awesome, successful handheld, and now you're coming out with a console. What made you guys decide to go the console route? Tell us how this project started.
I think we had in our mind since we released the whole product about taking it onto other things. So not just a handheld, maybe, because ultimately this is all around the cartridges. That's what this is all about. I think that's why people like the Evercade. They like being taken back to when they were kids and kind of opening up that case, getting a manual, slotting the cart in. So I think that's the basis for all of it. Really a nice experience and being so nostalgic with cartridges. And then we can make any hardware. That was our idea. We can make any hardware off the back of that, which these cartridges work. And I think we kind of committed to everyone that if they buy the cartridges, then the hardware that we make going forward will always support the cartridges. So it's kind of backwards compatibility type of thing. And that's what we kind of intend to do as much as possible. But I think the home console was a natural thing for multiplayer. That was where this comes from as much as anything. Because the handheld, we that's why we left the functions of the games to be multiplayer in. Sometimes people ask us why that's in there, but we wanted the cartridges then to be essentially forwards compatible, so people will be able to use them for multiplayer. We're a big fan of having the Evercade and put it on the TV, so the handheld itself. But I think it's not quite as a free experience. You've got a HDMI cable plugged into it, and it can be a bit cumbersome. We're thinking, right, how can we improve that as a if you're going to use it a lot, you want something that's easier to use. And I think this is where the multiplayer, the kind of ease of use, it's always plugged in. So that's where that all comes from, really. So I think it's just an evolution of what we're doing, and this isn't necessarily the end of what we're doing, really. There's all sorts of things we can do with the hardware going forward. But I think this product's sort of a next level up, I suppose, from the handheld, especially the UI and things, which we're really proud of.
Oh yeah, we're going to show off that UI in just a minute, but going along with these photos, a couple questions from our live chat. So we had a question from, forgive me if I pronounce your name incorrectly, Monir. He said, what inspired the color scheme for the consoles? The red and white. What inspired the color scheme?
That one's for you, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we actually had a lot of thought about this. We wanted it to be distinct, so distinct yet retro. So like when I've seen lots of photos actually of the handheld in particular surrounded by other handhelds, retro handhelds, and actually it does stand out, and that's one of the things we wanted to do. So people would, because there's so much generic stuff around where it's just generic colors and generic feel. We wanted it to have an identity, so we wanted to stand out. So white was key for that, and then we brought in the red, and it has have a bit of kind of Famicom inspiration there. And we did have the initial. Funnily enough, somewhere around the office, there's the first samples where we did try and get that instead of white. We tried to get that kind of like off-white, kind of yellowy feel for the very retro, kind of like a light grey and things, but it didn't work so well, so we ended up just reverting to white because it looks nice and clean and stuff.
I know. Yeah. Sorry, I was just saying. I know Restalgia came up with his own color scheme in his last video, I think.
Oh yeah, we don't. You guys aren't going to really entertain that, are you? It looked terrible.
What are you talking about? It was gorgeous.
Nobody wants to buy this. Nobody wants.
Listen,
this.
Nobody will buy it. It's a Wii U.
What are you talking about?
Why created the Wii U?
Let's find out. Hold on. Let's see. Anybody in the chat rooms, if you guys like this color scheme, the blue and black, hit 1. Just type 1 and enter that into the chat. If you don't, put a 0. If you prefer the red and white, put 0.
That's not
All
a blue,
right.
pal. That's a teal.
Oh, that is a gorgeous baby blue.
That's
Oh man. Okay, so we have some other great questions here while we're waiting for those survey results to come in.
Looks like overwhelming ones, huh?
Yeah,
Interesting.
I'm
Yeah.
seeing a lot of zeros, mostly from the same
one
person.
person.
Someone's just spamming what 0.
A lot
So-
of zeros.
Yeah, it's a bot. I think it's a bot.
Yeah.
Okay, so man, the questions are really flying in. Restalgia, were you able to grab a couple? We want to make sure we try and get
Yeah,
as many
yeah.
questions answered. Go ahead.
So I got a couple. So the first thing I'm going to ask about, or it's not really, I don't think it was really a question, but in terms of the 1080p output, that's a big piece because most home consoles, when you're talking about lots of competitors in the space, I'm not going to say any names, but almost every competitor in the space, they may have a 1080p menu, but when they output retro games, it's always done in 720p. Can you talk about some of the challenges that you guys had in getting your games to output, like the games themselves to actually output in a 1080p resolution?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I mean, with the handheld itself, so the handheld has its own resolution, and that could output at 720. So when we went into designing the VS, we was thinking, right, well, you know, we want to make something really great here, and one of those decisions was what kind of CPU and SOC that we was going to use. So I think we chose well with the VS. So I think in the end we went for the 3328 rock chip. Works really well, feels really good. But yeah, it was certainly a challenge.
Yeah, I think people think, a lot of people, well, various people have been saying, well, all they've done is take the handheld board and just stuck it in the case for the VS, and it's actually a completely different thing. It's like another step up, really. To deliver, if you've got to deliver 1080p, you have to have more power to render, and it's a sort of completely different board with completely different specifications. So it should handle that, you know, really well, which is what Ryan's been doing.
Now you guys are talking about obviously the board that's going into the VS is going to be it's the RK3328 Ryan had just said. How powerful is that? What can we expect in terms of the generation of games that this thing could potentially entertain us with? Like, what can we expect for you guys to provide to us, let's say outside of the 8 and 16-bit era style games?
Well, I think we mean, obviously we can't say them by name in our promotional materials, but obviously we have the PlayStation, which is 32-bit, and we're also looking at other 32-bit consoles.
I know where you're going.
But we'll leave that one at that. But I guess the other major thing was the arcade, right? So if we are going to do arcade, then, you know, that's something that we really want to try and make right, you know.
Very nice. So when it comes to systems like PlayStation, Dreamcast, technologically, is it going to be possible to have those games run on this platform? Just from a technical perspective, not saying they're coming or anything.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, guys want to. Yeah, a lot of people. A lot of people that use the handheld are pretty aware of the emulation scene and know what runs and what doesn't run. So we want to try and push that boundary. So
very nice. Very
I think
nice.
with emulation, I think people, you know, you can. It's kind of the balance between accuracy, you know, and performance, and trying to meet that. And I think you can have really low accuracy and get it working, but I think then you don't have a great output. You have to find that balance of something that runs just right, and not try and push the boundaries too far, But I think there's lots of optimizations you can do and all this, and trying to make things work as well as possible. So I think our challenge is to try and kind of get the most out of our hardware without, you know, people picking up the game and it not feeling right. So that's kind of where we're kind of drawing our line.
Very cool. Restalgia, what other questions do we have in the live chat from folks? We want to try and get some of those in.
I got lots. So another person was talking about a global distribution plan. And I think what they were trying to get at, they currently live in Ireland. Is there any chance that they're going to be able to have access to this? And outside of Ireland, is it kind of like Europe and North America markets? Or are you guys kind of spreading out and shooting it to multiple different countries? What's the plan for sale there?
Yeah, I mean, that's I think, to be honest, the whole COVID situation kind of put paid to a lot of people trying the console, perhaps in various retailers. So we've had some good coverage, but like getting into store rather than getting online has been fine, and we've done most of our business through online in this period, like everyone else. But getting into stores until they open up, we're sort of starting to see that across lots of markets and territories. We're starting to see people opening up and now being really interested in this. I think hopefully as we go through the year, we've just signed a couple of new distribution partners. Most of our business so far has been Europe and North America, but we want to do more in various places. There's always, with licensing, there's always challenges on which territories you get. You don't necessarily get global territories, and I think that's something that people perhaps don't realize. But I think our aim will be to be as global as possible, really.
Now, Andrew, one question I saw in our live chat from folks is they want to know why this handheld controller has got 4 bumper trigger buttons, as well as why is it a 4-player console? I don't think any of the cartridges you guys have released so far have had a 4-player game on there. What does this mean, my friend? What can you tell us?
Do you want to do that, Ryan?
Yeah, so I mean, if you guys already aware of Worms Armageddon?
Mm-hmm.
So technically that game actually utilizes 4 shoulder buttons normally.
Mm-hmm.
So for the handheld, we had to make some compromises, and with the VS, we didn't really want to have that compromise there. Moving forward, you know, if we release games, we want to be able to have the best, controls available, kind of thing. So we kind of wanted to leave room for expansion in that regard there. And I think with the 4-player games, I think we actually have, I think we've got 4 or 5 games which are actually 4-player, but obviously we have more planned. So
Nice. You heard that, guys. That's fantastic to hear. Now, what other questions were in the live chat, Restalgia, before we start getting to the real meat and potatoes?
Some questions about Wi-Fi. So obviously it was promoted to have Wi-Fi, but as it stands right now, there's no online play. Is online play something, or multiplayer online, something that is on the roadmap? Is it something that you guys are considering? How much of a reality will that actually become to be able to play against your friends online with this console?
Andrew?
Yeah, I think with the whole Wi-Fi, it's in there to start the thing, so we've got it there. Initially, we'll be doing updates and stuff with it, but we intend to add functionality. I think it's going to be a bit of exploring all this as to what people actually want, because in this community we seem to have a bunch of people that really don't want to see, you know, what the online affecting their retro experience, or, you know, the classic gaming experience. And then there's a bunch of people that would love to have it. So we have to kind of find that balance and work out what's best. I think as a kind of minimum, we're looking to do things like, in the future, we're looking to do things like whether you can have online global leaderboards for a game, which people will be able to place. We've got things like having an ID or having your own kind of avatar, and then being able to share save states or things with your friends. That kind of stuff seems to be the more obvious stuff. Where we go fully online is in terms of playing a game against others. There's some licensing implications and various other things with that. So we have to consider it really seriously. I think really we don't want to get too far away from being like a kind of classic gaming experience. I think with cartridges, with all that stuff, we don't want to be left behind. But then our product's primarily about nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
Not Restalgia, nostalgia.
Now, real quick, guys, this guy, gentleman name, I believe it's Robert in the chat. He's asked 6 times, and I haven't been ignoring you, my friend. He wants to know if you can spill the beans on what games are included on the Intellivision collection.
No. Yeah.
We can't tell that, but I could tell you now that our fellow co-worker is actually spilling those beans tomorrow or today, I guess. No,
or today, yeah, over there.
Yeah, today in UK time, but yeah, that will be over at OEB Pete's channel. Is that right?
Oh, OEB Pete. I've caught his YouTube channel a bit, and he seems to be a huge Evercade fan over there.
Yeah, we kind of get. He's he's a big Intellivision fan, and he's a big Evercade fan. And to be honest, he was real big part of trying to get us the Intellivision games, and he kept bugging the Intellivision guys. So we kind of feel like we owe him one, and it would be nice for him to be able to be part of that announcement. So he's doing that with Sean, kind of marketing manager, tomorrow.
Guys, do us a favor. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel OEB Pete, which stands for Open Every Box Pete. Guys, go check out his channel, especially if you're interested in the Evercade product. He's made a lot of content for it. He's a huge fan of this product, so definitely want to give him a plug. Guys, go check out his channel. We greatly appreciate it. Michael B or Restalgia, what other we got time for a couple of questions before we do some big reveals. What other questions can we ask the Blaze team that people have thrown in the live chat?
I've got one about examples of third-party controller support. So it was advertised, obviously, that there is third-party controller support for both wired and wireless with dongles. Do you guys have any names of specific controllers that you guys can say that have been tested that do work?
It's to be determined, but the idea is that out of the box, we're going to support a whole bunch of different controllers, like your common, well-known controllers. That's what we're going to try and aim for. One thing that we are going to try and aim for day one is the ability for you to plug in a USB controller, which might not be detected on the console, and add that as your own controller. Okay. Second to that, which is something that we're trying to aim for to get that in before release, is if the controller already exists on the hardware, then we want you to be able to change whatever the mappings are. So you could change it to whatever you want, how you feel. So say, for example, you could add like a SNES controller and you could change it to the way you want it.
Go ahead, Michael. Go ahead, Michael B. Guys, big time. John Riggs is in the chat. John, good to see you, my friend. We've had John on our podcast many moons ago. He says we need to get that 360 Turbo Touch. What's that all about, Michael B?
It's the worst controller ever made. It's a third-party controller for old retro systems. And we did a podcast together recently where we were talking about the 360 Turbo Touch, and I said I had one for the Genesis. It's horrible. If there's something you can do with your system, make sure the 360 Turbo Touch doesn't work on the Evercade Versus. That'll get you bonus points with most retro gamers. But someone else mentioned here in the comments, I think it's Shoeshine, the 8-Bit-Do controller. A lot of people are already playing like retro consoles, like the NES Classic. I don't know, Restalgia, if you've ever heard of that, but these retro consoles. And what 8-Bit-Do did was they released a line of controllers that had these wireless dongles, 2.4 hertz, that actually plug right into the systems. Everybody loves them. If you guys could work with 8-Bit-Do, I'm sure the whole retro community would be very happy about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we're definitely so one thing that we don't have out of the box is wireless, but we are supporting the 8-bit DOE wireless dongle. That is something that we will
There
be
you go.
supporting out of the box. So for people who want that wireless solution, that's there. We'll also be looking at potentially doing a wireless version of our controller, but it will be later down the road.
That's a huge win having that 8-bit DOE wireless dongle supported on this platform. Fantastic, guys. That gets me excited because I have a bunch of those type of controllers here. I think we all do, right?
Yeah.
One actually thinking about it now. One thing that we did actually want to add specific support for was the Xbox adaptive controller.
Oh yeah.
So that was a big thing that we wanted to do right out the box, because it allows people with different disabilities to get involved, and that was one of our one of our key goals was to make this as accessible as it can be for everyone. So that controller is definitely one of them that we've added support in for day one.
Go ahead,
I actually work with people with disabilities in my professional career, so that touches my heart. So good job, guys. That is a really nice touch.
Yep. And the feedback from the live chat, everyone's excited about it. So Ryan, Andrew, kudos to you. Everyone's excited about hearing about that controller support.
We got a couple more questions here, I think, that are
Go ahead.
important. First
Yeah,
one, this one is obviously, I think, a pretty important one. When and where can people purchase the Evercade VS? Pre-order it or purchase it? What's the action plan so people can mark it in their calendars and get ready to make that purchase? How do they do that?
So we're opening we'll open pre-orders at the end of May, so around the 28th of May. That's when pre-orders open, and you can get your order in, and then the release of the console is the 3rd of November. So we've got a bunch of things to announce in between. In fact, between now and the 28th, we've got another 5 cartridges to announce. Which are kind of on the roadmap. There's those 5 which are all going to be released this year. So we're getting ready for that. There's a lot of new content.
And do they do that pre-order on your website, or is there another place?
No, it should be available everywhere to pre-order regular retailers. Really, I think
Amazon, Walmart. Mm-hmm.
Typically, Best Buy in the US, Best Buy and Amazon.com. Should have it set up and ready to go. It should be a big launch for us, so we'll put a lot of effort in there, and then across Europe there's lots of retailers which will be carrying it.
Now we do have to ask this question, and again, this is because of world events. In our arcade and gaming world, a lot of consoles, a lot of arcade machines, a lot of parts, a lot of stuff is running really, really behind. Are you expecting any kind of supply shortages or any kind of hiccups along the way? Or you guys feel confident you'll make that November date? Or did you pick that November date to give yourself ample time, ample buffer time? Because a lot of folks in the live chat are asking that. Is there going to be any kind of issues with delivering the product due to what's going on in the world?
So with that whole subject, 100%, it's a thing. It's like it is a real problem for electronics companies and other, all sorts of materials are running short, as everyone's kind of seeing. And we certainly had an impact on that. With the VS, what we've done is about a month ago, we started purchasing things like flash, RAM, the CPU. So we've actually purchased a volume of that. So a substantial volume of that ready for this period, because those were the parts we were worried about, essentially. You don't have to worry so much about various other parts, but they're kind of the key components. So we put a load of money down there, and that kind of secures the VS components up to a certain volume. So it really depends on what the demand's like for the console. So if we get huge demand, and we'll have to be looking around for those components and trying to fulfill that demand. But we know like our base forecast is there. So hopefully we'll be going, oh my God, we've got too many orders. But I think you can be rest assured that we've kind of, based on what we know with the handheld and based on what we know about our audience, we've tried to make sure that this is going to come in on time as well as possible. I think it's funny because last year when we tried to release the Evercade in March last year originally, and then we ended up releasing it in May. So that was pretty much bang smack in the middle of the start of COVID. So, I was really agonizing over being a couple of months late, really. So we're hopefully not a company that really lets stuff slide too much. And there's a reputation in retro to have a lot of that going on, and it's not good. We're trying to be better than that, really. So hopefully we'll with world of you can't control everything, but we're trying to control all the things we can. That's basically the message.
Okay. Now, a lot of folks have been asking about why is there dual cartridge slots on this machine. So there's one of the cool reasons has to deal with the new user interface. So I'm going to pull up some images of what the user interface here on the Evercade VS is going to look like. And Andrew or Ryan, if you guys want to tell us why there's dual cartridge slots and also how that plays into the user interface, I think that'd be great.
I think why not would be the first.
Why not, right?
Why not? Yeah, why not? I mean, I think 2's probably, we could have had 6, but I don't know where you go with this, how far you take it. But no, 2 was
size matters, right, Andrew?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you've always been telling me.
Bigger is better, right?
2 of everything. No, I mean generally, when we go into this, when you put in a cartridge, I mean, there's a bit of a convenience thing with it. So obviously you've got 2 to play with, you can put in straight away. So we're all, being lazy, sitting on the sofa, and we want to just pop those 2 in, and then we've got a load of choice for our game selection. But I think one of the things that when I looked at kind of the other mini consoles, so the first party stuff, you're getting 40 games up on screen, or 35, 25 games, or whatever it was, depending on the console. And I think people are kind of used to seeing a lot of games selection on screen, so we wanted to deliver that as well. So we, if you put in, I mean, the biggest selection is putting in Atari 1 and 2, where you're going to get 40 titles on the screen. But you might be putting in 10 and 10, and you've got a nice selection of 20 titles. So if you see what I mean, we wanted to give you a similar experience. People are used to seeing that now, so that was part of it. But I just think it's cool. We've started experimenting with the console, and we get to put in one cart, and you put in another cart, and then they all pop up on the screen, which is great. And you see all those beautiful covers, and then actually you put in a different combination of carts, and it gives you a completely different visual experience. And you keep doing that, and you see all these different visuals coming together in different ways, and then you can sort them in different ways. So you can either show cart number 1, cart number 2 separately, or you can show them all together. And then you can sort them all in different ways. So, the number of players and, normal stuff people are used to. But I just think you always get the same experience with those other consoles, because you always sort them in the same way or look at them the same way. With ours, you're going to have all these different carts going in, giving you a different visual experience. So that's some of the reasons that I like that competitively.
Guys, let me know in the live chat real quick before Restalgia asks the next question. What do you guys think of the screenshots here of the user interface? Do you guys think it looks slick? Does it look modern? Does it look cool? Give me your honest feedback in the live chat. This is a great time to provide that feedback to Ryan and Andrew. They got plenty of time before the product launches to take your suggestions to heart as well. Go ahead, Restalgia. What's our next question? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Ryan.
Well, I actually know that our main guy who actually implements this menu and the UX designer is actually watching right now. So we'll give them a shout out and say, good job, guys.
Well, I'm seeing some positive comments come in, but we'll see how they go. Going to be honest, looks very sharp. Love all these feedback. It's perfect. I'll be honest, guys. I think it looks pretty slick. If I thought like it needed opportunity for improvement, I'd tell you. I'm really digging this, and I'm really excited about the fact that you could have multiple cartridges plugged in, and you're going to see all the games from both cartridges on the display at one time. So that's really cool. Like you said, I mean, I'm a big multicade guy. I love seeing tons of games on my systems. So this excites me. Michael B., what are you thinking here?
So when I saw the 2 cartridge slots originally, and especially with a handheld, us as retro gamers remember playing 2-player Game Boy games, and you needed two of the same cartridges in order to play with each other. So I was a little bit concerned when I saw the 2 cartridge slots that people might need 2 of the same games in order to play each other on it. That's not the case at all, is it?
No. We actually had a guy in our community Discord bring up a really good idea for the dual cart. So I think we're going to try and implement that as a feature. But shall we tell them roughly what we're thinking, Andrew? Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're thinking about doing. Well, we've already said that we're going to hide a load of Easter eggs in the whole console. And that's just going to range from lots of different things to like secret games, potentially. But what we want to try and do is do a thing where if you plug in certain combinations of carts, that unlocks different things. So
very cool.
Plug in 2 Atari carts, then it gives you something.
Hold on. I think you just blew my socks off here. Are you saying that there's a possibility that if I plug in a certain combination of 2 of the carts, it's going to unlock something? And what did you say that it could potentially unlock?
It could have, hopefully, it will potentially unlock a different game or secret game, something like that.
That's cool, man.
That is actually really, really cool.
That's cool. Hey, guys, say hi to Detroit Love. Carl, how you doing, man? Sorry you were a little late to the show. Guys, here's our 4th co-host, Detroit Love. How are you, man?
It's been a rough day, but I'm glad to be here with you guys.
Oh, man. So what's going to happen here, Ryan and Andrew, you do realize that once people figure out those Easter eggs, like what cart combinations to plug in, you realize that that's going to be all over the internet like in 2 seconds, and everyone's going to get really hyped. Do you plan on making the community discover this themselves, or are you going to leak it? Or how's that going to go?
I don't think we're going to leak it, but I think what we was kind of toying with the idea is that as you know, we're very much like the retro kind of feel. So everything we do with our cartridges, and like now we're starting to put the touchy feelies in, like the posters and such. We want to kind of get back to like the old school 90s gaming competition. So I think what we'll do is open up a giveaway for someone who could find all the Easter eggs. And
oh, wow.
That's a really cool idea.
Maybe we'll do something like that. So,
well, you also know a couple YouTubers, a guy who made a really sweet black and blue design that if you wanted to sneak those Easter eggs over here, I'm more than happy to sneak those out to the community too. But
we don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. The black and blue, what did you say?
The beautiful black and blue console.
Restalgia, nobody wants a black and blue console. Knock it off. Nobody wants that.
Honestly, guys, I know you're trying to make Restalgia feel good in the chat by putting the ones in there, but you could potentially sink this company just by trying to appease Restalgia. Don't tell them to do something so bad.
Put the 0 in there. I like the red and I like the red and white. I hope it stays red and white. Guys, put a 1 in the chat if you like the red and white.
Put a 0 if you want the black and blue. But I do have a question. Hold on.
It's funny, this black and blue, it does rhyme with the Wii U, doesn't it?
You can switch it to blue and black if that kind of creates a disconnect.
Yeah, okay.
I got somebody in the chat who was asking, I think his name is Junko. I can't see. Yeah, Junko. He's asking he wants to know with precise direction, are these carts interchangeable between the handheld and the console?
Yes. Yeah. Andrew?
Yeah, so if you got the handheld, there's one exception which I think we've been kind of making people aware of. So our license, this is a license thing, nothing else, nothing technology-wise, for the Namco Museum carts doesn't extend to a home console.
Okay.
So that's the only fly in the ointment for us right now, and we're kind of trying to work through that with Bandai Namco at the moment. But at the point of launch, those won't work, those 2 cartridges. The other kind of 25, 26 will do, or they'll work perfectly out of the box. But yeah, hopefully what we'll be able to do in the future is just to open those up with a firmware update in the future. So they'll be locked down in software.
Okay. But future cartridges that
everything. So the plan is that we as much as humanly possible, we're going to make sure that it works on both things. Because one of the things about this is all the save states are on the carts, right? So that those save states, if you're playing on the handheld and you save your game, you can take the cart out, you put it in the VS, off you go, same game continues. You know, it's not on the console itself, which is quite cool.
Okay, fair enough.
Alrighty, I'm going to have this playing in the background here because we do have some questions about some stuff happening in this trailer. Also, we're getting near to the end of our interview, so I do know that Andrew and Ryan have a couple of big exclusive announcements they want to make our broadcast, so thanks so much, everyone, for being patient and waiting until the end of the interview. But let's get to something here on this trailer that our good friend Restalgia picked up on. There's a shot of when you had all the carts lined up. One of the carts happened to be, I saw 20 carts. They were red. Like, here we go, right here. All right. Spill it, guys. Andrew, Ryan, why does this say, what is this then? What is going on here?
Have you never heard of what is this then? That's one of the biggest
I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that game, Ryan. Our audience wants to know, why do we have carts numbered till 20 and why are we starting over at number 1? What can you tell us, my friend?
So, what I think we've been since day one, we've been talking about arcade. So our plan right now is to bring arcade to the system, and we're going to be looking at doing starting in at number 1 for arcade, basically. And that's what that is, and that's what we're going to be releasing. So we got some more details coming up on that before the 28th. Which is when pre-orders open. So we'll be revealing everything coming up, including that content. And I think if another big thing we can tell you is that the packs you're going to, we've got a starter pack and a premium pack, which is the same configuration as the handheld. They will have arcade content with them.
Alrighty. Restalgia, what do you think about that, my friend? What did they just confirm? What did we just find out?
It sounds like we might be getting some arcade titles.
Arcade titles are coming to the Evercade VS, and it sounds like we're going to have to keep our eyes out for the purple clamshells, a whole new collection of games, arcade ROMs running on the system. Detroit Love, you love your arcade games, don't you, my friend?
You know, you didn't even have my attention at all until you said that.
Now, you're not able to spill any kind of what games they're going to be or anything like that, are you guys? Not yet? Not until...
I don't want to be murdered at this point. For
our marketing guy would probably hit us.
Yeah, Sean will be pretty upset. I mean, it's 2 a.m. here. I'm a bit delirious, so I want to keep it in,
Well, hold on. Can marketing get mad if your marketing team accidentally left an Easter egg in your own trailer?
Yeah, well, that's their fault,
Okay, well then I think we can talk about that, can't we? Maybe we can get some confirmation on this. So, PDubs, if you want to move along to where they are displaying a bunch of the titles,
I'll try and find it, my friend. I'll try and find it.
Is it right here? Up. I don't remember exactly where the timestamp is. It's probably somewhere around there. But yeah, so one of the things that I noticed when you guys were showing off all the different games was Double Dragon. And what caught my eye is that there was the flashing insert coin feature along the top of the gameplay. So obviously no console Double Dragon ever had that. No console, any game ever had the insert coin, as far as I can recall. So is it fair to say that that is a confirmed title coming to the Evercade VS? We are 100% or 99% going to get Double Dragon arcade version.
I don't know who put that in there. I mean, they're in big trouble, to be honest. We're gonna have to,
you guys saw it. It said Double Dragon, and what gave it away was it said insert coin, and that just kind of spilled the beans for Eagle Eyes Restalgia. But then again, maybe they just put the wrong game on here.
We're in big trouble. We're gonna have to have a look at that. So we can neither confirm or deny such things.
That is not a console ROM right there. Very, very cool. Now, what is there anything else you wanted to give away or reveal for everyone regarding this upcoming Evercade VS console? Ryan or Andrew, is there anything else you wanted to let the community know about?
I guess one thing actually, which we haven't really mentioned before, is that the new UI for the console, that's not actually just coming out for the console, it's also coming for the handheld.
You guys are going to do a firmware update for the handheld?
Yeah. So the handheld will have the new menu system, and along with the new menu system, there'll be a whole bunch of new emulation features, which a lot of people have been asking for. Notably like scanlines and pixel perfect, so integer scaling, stuff like that. So
Nice.
we're
Whoa!
definitely not forgetting about the handheld owners. It's very much something that we're it's our bread and butter effectively, and we've got you guys covered.
Oh, that's fantastic. Go ahead, Michael B.
Yeah, if you guys are looking for some arcade titles, I suggest you reach out to Gmode, as we in the community know Gmode are pretty easy to work with in terms of getting some of the Data East arcade titles. So, word to the wise, and the community would all like to see some Data East as well.
Any specific titles that people want to see?
Bad Dudes.
No, not Bad Dudes. Bad Dudes. No, Bad Dudes. Bad Dudes has not aged well. Bad Dudes to me
Bad
is like
Dudes is
playing.
fantastic.
I'd rather play Echo the Dolphin than Bad Dudes,
Oh, that's a hard statement.
and that's a bad game. I'm just teasing. I know it's an arcade classic. I know it's an arcade. Yeah, look at even Paul. Paul agrees with me. Not Bad Dudes. There you go, Paul.
I want Bad
RoboCop.
Dudes.
I wouldn't. Well, RoboCop would be cool. Everyone's saying not Bad Dudes. There you go. Anything else, Ryan or Andrew? I know you've let the cat out of the bag here about some arcade games coming, new user interface coming to the handheld, as well as to obviously the VS. What else you got for us, man? You got anything else that might accidentally slip?
I think there's probably just one more thing.
Okay.
Which will be coming out soon in more detail, but we're not just looking at licensing retro games. So we are looking at what I guess we would call new modern retro games for the handheld and the VS. So we are looking at that as a possibility, seeing as we saw how much Indie Heroes was a big hit with everyone. So that's definitely something that we're probably going to look at in the future. So keep your eyes out for that.
Oh, okay. Restalgia, what do you think about that bit of news?
That is music to my ears. I love seeing stuff like that being brought into kind of a retro platform. So getting the ability to play some of these indie titles or modern retro games in this form factor is awesome, rather than your standard means would be playing them on a PC or playing them on your modern gen console. Having the ability to play them in this form factor is pretty awesome. I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks are picking up about the developers and publishers, what they're kind of leaning towards here. I think this is really cool.
That's a good
John
question.
Riggs says, what's he got to do to get his homebrew on the next indie collection? Who should he reach out to?
He's just got to give us a call, we'll have that conversation.
What about you? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that stuff, is great. I think it's a bit different, and I think it's something really cool for people to explore. But making your own kind of mixtapes of what you would love to see as a cartridge is something that Evercade fans seem to love doing all the time, and we would encourage, shoot us ideas, all that kind of stuff. We're really interested in it all.
Now, as we kind of get near the end here, I'm going to pull up the timeline of what people can expect for 2021 for the Evercade, and whatever key dates on here you want to mention to everybody, because I know you wanted to talk about this a little bit. Let me get my screen shared here, and let's pull that up. And here we go. So here's the Evercade 2021 calendar, and I noticed you got a lot of carts on here with some question marks. When will people find out what those carts are, my friends?
Yeah, you're going to know. I mean, we're going to release all the details on all those 5 carts before the pre-orders open on the 28th. So some of those some of those kind of form part of the packs we were talking about before, so the starter and premium pack, and those will all be announced before that day. It doesn't necessarily mean that's the end of what we're doing. There's still a load of more content we're signing right now. Some we're just determining whether it sits in this year, sits in next year, but I think you can be confident we've got loads to come.
Well, if you announce that first question mark on the vinyl before the show ends, then that would round off those last 4 for the end of the year.
Yeah. You really want to work off an uneven number, Andrew?
It's
and Ryan?
Yeah, well, I was born on the 5th. I was born on the 5th, so it's a really important day to me. So I'm going to keep that 5. That's okay.
Well, it sounds to me, I don't know if these guys can confirm or deny, but it sounds to me like out of these 5 carts, maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe more might be arcade carts. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, you're definitely right.
Oh, look at that. Boom! Arcade carts. Can't wait for that, guys. We can't wait to find out what these games are that are coming to this platform. This is very, very exciting.
Let me jump in with a question, because I'm
Go
sure
ahead.
this is something that is burning on some people's minds.
Mhm.
If you bought an Evercade handheld, it came with some carts. Is it fair to say or fair to assume that because the Evercade VS is coming with at least 1 game in their base package or 2 games in the premium package, that either one of those games will be a game that is not currently on the market?
Yeah, 100%. You won't be buying the same games twice with these packs. So you're not the ones that come with the packs are new, basically. They're not going to be existing already, available already. So no one's going to have to buy them twice.
Beautiful.
Nice. Very, very exciting. Now, guys, do us a favor. Give a special thanks to Ryan and Andrew. You guys don't realize this, but what time is it over there in the United Kingdom?
It's
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock in the morning, 2:05, yeah.
2 a.m. Guys, these folks stayed up super late to join us and to provide you guys this information and talk about their product. So let's all give them a special thanks. We're not going to make the show. Usually our show can run upwards of an hour and a half, but because of the time over there, I'm not going to force Ryan and Andrew. I know they want to go home and go to bed. So guys, make sure you give them the thanks, especially for all the exclusive reveals on this show. Arcade games are coming to the Evercade, as well as new user interface and things like that. More details to come. Ryan, Andrew, are there any final thoughts you'd like to say? Like, why should people choose the Evercade VS? Why should people choose the Evercade handheld? Any final thoughts or statements before we say goodbye to everybody?
I really don't like Steve's color scheme.
Yeah, it's like interesting. Nothing. I mean, people need to look at the product and see what they think, and make their own decisions, I guess. But we just thank you guys really for having us on here to talk about all this stuff.
Well, before you guys go, I think the question that's burning on everybody's mind is: there a chance we might see a black and blue Evercade VS console?
No, it'd be terrible.
I'd say never.
Okay.
But possibly not.
No.
I mean,
Okay, well, if you guys need my logo to license out, just let me know. I'll
Yeah,
give you guys
yeah.
a sweet deal on that.
okay. Good thought. Well, to be honest, I'm waiting for your design, Michael, so we can sort of compare them and see which one's best.
I think
'Cause,
his last submission was hot pink.
Yeah.
it
That's
was
right,
hot
that's
pink,
correct.
actually.
All pink.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are so funny. Now I'm going to let Detroit Love give everyone our usual custom farewell. Make sure you guys start putting your comments in the live chat, letting us know if you enjoyed the show. You guys know I love putting your comments on the outro. Special thanks again to Ryan and Andrew as well. Make sure you guys, I have links in the video description below where you guys can go and get pre-order information for this product. Hope you guys check it out. I'm very excited for it myself. Detroit Love, if you want to take us away, and Ryan and Andrew, don't hang up just yet. We'll talk to you off air. Go ahead, my friend.
Guys, thanks for watching this exclusive video. You know the Double Dragon is coming. without a doubt. We appreciate you. Make sure you check out all of our websites and subscribe to our channels. And until next time, guys, we'll see you on the web.